What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I am trespassing into dangerous waters, I'm afraid. If you're new to this channel because of the title, then I hope you will stick with me because I'm about to alienate a large portion of my audience, I'm afraid, with this video. So the reason I'm making this video is to come clean about something. I've always said on my channel that I am open to being proven wrong, that I'm not deluded enough to think that I have the monopoly on right or good ideas, and that if I experienced, if I came in contact with new data that changed my point of view, that I would be open and honest and transparent about that. And so what I'm learning over the course of the last couple of weeks is that my affinity with the Republican Party and my tolerance of the Christian right in this country has been misplaced. I am an atheist. I've been an atheist for a very long time, and for the vast majority of my life, I was very pro-gay rights. So again, for anybody who might be new to my channel, let me sort of just set the stage for you, kind of give you my credentials, for lack of a better term, so that maybe you and I can start to develop a relationship, because I think that I'm in need of some serious personal growth. So basically, while I have voted Republican for the vast majority of my life, I have always been pro-gay rights. I am very much pro-choice. I'm basically pro people doing whatever the fuck they want to do in the confines of their own home. I don't believe in the government legislating any of our civil rights, the things that we do behind closed doors. I don't care who you have sex with. I don't care who you're in love with. I don't care if you want to get high in the privacy of your own home. I think that none of these topics are the business of the federal government. If you get pregnant and you don't want your baby, I think that's your business. I have been pro-choice the vast majority of my life. I want to be honest with you in saying that there are cases where, I don't necessarily fully agree. But that's, again, I'm sure there's tons of things about my life that you don't fully agree with. And I think that agreement is not always necessary. It's understanding that is relevant. Can we understand each other? Can we walk in each other's shoes? And that's what I've been forced to do, rather against my will recently, which is the reason that I'm making this video. So one of the things that admittedly pushed me sort of away from the gay rights agenda was the trans community. When, in the beginning, it wasn't a problem for me. If you're a guy, you think you're a girl, you feel like you're a guy, none of these things are my business. You should be free to do whatever you want to do. What honestly, for me, a person who grew up in a very conservative family, started to take exception with, was when I felt like people on the left, or people in the LGBT, I don't know all the letters. Forgive me. I'm brand new to this, as it were. When you started trying to force your agendas upon people like me on the right, force me to use certain pronouns, force me to view your gender in a certain way, that's when I started to push back and go, wait a minute, this feels like the very thing that I'm against. It feels like someone's trying to legislate what I can think and feel and believe. And that's where I started to part ways with the LGBT community. What has changed my mind to greater lesser degree recently is that really for the first time in my life, I've been forced to walk in your shoes. So most of the issues that affect, homosexual people are not a problem for me because I'm not a homosexual. I'm just not wired that way. If my wife wanted to, dabble on the side with a girl, I'd be totally cool with that. I have no fear of that, no problem with that. I've worked in gay bars. I have been around the gay community my entire life. It was just the forcing of their will upon me that started to cause a problem. And so, as it pertains to abortion, again, this is not something that ever really affected me. You know, obviously I'm not a woman. I don't have the ability to have a baby. I already knew that I didn't have much decision in whatever a girl decided to do. So again, whether or not Roe v. Wade was a thing, didn't affect me. Strangely enough, the first experience really in my entire life where I felt like one small group of the American population was infringing upon my rights happened very recently in the state of Texas and some other conservative states where they basically tried to institute a porn ban. They did this under the guise of trying to make sure that minors don't get access to pornography, but what it effectively created was a porn ban for everyone else. All consenting adults have to jump through some degree of hurdles to access this data, or this free speech is the way I view it. So like, you know, I've had my First Amendment handgun rights or gun rights infringed upon. So I know what that feels like. But that was sort of something that apparently the vast majority of Americans from all walks of life agreed with. You know, it's illegal for me to take some of the drugs that I use to build the body that I have. But again, this is something that sort of unanimously the world has agreed is something that is not good for our society, that we have to have certain checks and balances on the drugs that we allow people to put into their bodies, because it can negatively affect our entire society and each of us as a whole. And so it wasn't until effectively Christian people came after my ability to, in the privacy of my own home, watch pornography, something that I happen to be a producer of. My wife and I have an OnlyFans page, and we produce our own sexual content. It's very tame, it's very mild, it's primarily pictures, although it may be getting ready to get more exciting. That was the first time where I experienced something that I think is somewhat akin to what people in the LGBT community experience on a daily basis, where you're basically being told that you're evil because you engage in homosexuality because the Bible said so. Or you're evil because you don't feel like you're the gender that you were born. Or you're evil because basically your lifestyle doesn't perfectly line up with the lifestyle that God Almighty has ordained for all of us to follow. You know, the Christians have this, and then of course there's abortion, which affects people from every walk of life. It's certainly not just a leftist situation, although statistically people on the left seem to be disproportionately having abortions. But this is another thing where no matter who you are, the Christian right wants to mandate what you can do with your body, or the life that you create in your body, and when does it become a life, and all of this is tied up not so much in the life, but in the innocent, although not innocent. Isn't that funny? It's like they're really concerned about the soul of your baby, but they also say that the baby's born in original sin and is basically a piece of shit until God saves it. And so none of their ideology as far as abortion makes any sense at all. They're very, very desperate to make sure they save your baby that they believe was created in sin. It's like, how does this even make any sense? So while they're busy trying to save your baby that was created in sin, they have no problem sending a convicted felon to the gas chamber or firing squad or electric chair or whatever. So it's like their valuation of life is very strange, you know? If you're a baby born in sin, we have to do everything possible to make sure that you survive, even if you happen to be the product of rape or incest or some horrible condition. Fuck mom, basically. We have to make sure this little sinner comes into the world so that we can then attack it with our with our insane ideology and convince it to become one of us and accept Jesus Christ and be better. It's totally asinine. It always has been. And I've been trying to tell my fellow Republicans that the abortion rights thing is a losing battle. We're going to continue to lose elections if we decide to die on the hill that is abortion. It's just not a popular topic with people from various walks of life. And then you've got homosexual rights, which again, until the trans situation occurred, affected absolutely no one. So basically what I'm trying to say in this video is that after having experienced my rights being infringed upon by a select group of the American people who want to litigate what I can and cannot do in the privacy of my own home, it was sort of like the fucking straw that broke the camel's back. It's like I got over them taking my gun rights. I got over them making it illegal for me to use steroids. But porn that's it. Like I'm not taking any more. And so that made me start looking at the LGBT community in a totally different light. I spent a bunch of time last night actually researching transgenderism and what drugs are used to create to allow people to transition from male to female, female to male. I actually spent a good deal of time watching a very graphic video of a male to female sexual reassignment surgery. And I was shocked at what I saw. Like, on the, so many people, myself included, and again, give me some room here. I'm trying to grow. I'm a work in progress. I'm not there yet. That's why I titled this video, Becoming an LGBTQ Ally. Like, I'm trying to understand what you people are going through. I'm trying to bridge the gap between being what you would have 2 weeks ago called a transphobe, a homophobe, a bigot, like all of the negative things that you can possibly imagine. If you look through my videos, I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not taking any videos down. I'm not removing any of my takes. If you look through my channel history, you will find me saying very abusive and nauseating things probably about people from all walks of life on the left. But I'm trying today to grow as a person and to be able to see the world from varying points of view, because it is abundantly clear to me now that letting things fall into the hands of the extreme right-wing side of our country is only going to mean that I'm going to lose more of the rights that I care about. These people are hell-bent on forcing their agenda upon me in the same way that I feel like, members of the trans community are trying to force their agenda on me. And what I think we need is a common ground where everybody stops forcing their agenda on one another. I don't know can I mediate a ceasefire? Is it possible? Can we come together as a species? Can we get to a place where Christians stop trying to force their religion upon people on the left, and people on the left stop trying to force their sexuality or their gender identity on people on the right? Is that possible? Is that something that we could achieve? Would it be worth working on? That's what I want to know, because my entire way of life has always been about trying to be as genuine and open and transparent as possible. I've never claimed to be a good person. I don't really believe in right and wrong, good or evil. That's why I've never had a problem with homosexuality or transgenderism or whatever from the perspective of right or wrong. I don't think there are definitively right or wrong things. I think that the world just is, and it's when we set out to place value judgments on things that everything goes wrong. So I would love to see some comments. I know I'm gonna take probably a beating from both sides and just end up hated by everyone. But I'm trying to take that first fucking step in extending an olive branch from one side of the aisle to the next, from a person who has been, as I said, extremely transphobic, homophobic, all the phobias probably, a bigot. I mean, whatever negative term you could probably come up with, I've probably perpetuated that ideology or those mindsets for some period of time now, and I'm willing to try. I feel like I've seen this go down before and it not work very well, because sometimes people on the left seem to be impossible to please. And so, nobody wants to give an inch. And so maybe even suggesting that we find a middle ground where we stop forcing each other's ideologies on one another is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. It feels like while the Christians are willing to die on the fucking hill of abortion, some of you in the trans community or the gender ideology community seem to be willing to die on the hill of forcing your pronouns or your idea or your identity on other people. And if that's where we're at, then we're all going to lose. We're all going to lose. There's never going to be a consensus of people if we try to force our way of life onto others. And so maybe I can start a dialogue on my channel where we can start to try to find, to investigate, to see, is it possible that we can come to some kind of common ground where we can truly just live and let live, where we can stop trying to tear each other apart and force each other to believe anything, agree upon anything. Why can't we just be who we are, and embrace those who are like me, who are willing to try to fucking understand, and ignore those who are not. As long as it's not in the courtroom, I don't really understand why it's so important that we try to force our will upon one another. But again, like I said, I'm not a homosexual person. I'm not a trans person. I've never truly walked a day in your shoes. And so I can't really know what that feels like. The closest I can get to understanding trans people is that, I was having a conversation with my wife last night, and I said, if suddenly laws got passed to where it was impossible for me to get access to the drugs that allow me to have the physique that I have, and I suddenly shrank back to the 140-pound stick man that I used to be, that would cause me a level of dysphoria that would likely end in me checking out of here permanently. And so while I can't personally understand what it is like for a person who's born in a body they think doesn't belong to them from a sexual persuasion, I can definitely fucking identify with what it feels like to be born in a body that it just doesn't look the way you want it to look. And when there are things that can be done to achieve the look that you want, I absolutely don't think anybody else on earth has a right to stand in between me building as much muscle on my frame as I can possibly build. And I don't think anyone should be standing in your way of getting whatever surgery or hormones or whatever is necessary for you to be able to look in the mirror and love what you see. And so finally, what I would like to say as a further offering of the fig leaf, is that right? I can't, maybe that's, whatever. Is that this channel happens to be all about hormone modulation, how to tinker with your hormones to create different effects. And so I have some ideas. I'm probably going to be making a video possibly today titled Female to Male Transition the Fast Way. I've seen countless videos of, forgive me if I get this wrong, trans men, women who become men, and they're like 1 week on T, 2 weeks on 3, 1 month on T. If you are a female trying to transition to a male, there are a lot of hormones available to you that are far more powerful than testosterone, and certainly might give you the effects that you're looking for far quicker and far better than what you are being exposed to when you're only injecting yourselves with testosterone. As far as men who are trying to turn themselves into women, I don't have all of the best data yet, but if there's a hormone cocktail that will help you to accomplish that as fast as humanly possible, I'm committed to finding it, because there's nothing I love more in this world than tinkering with my body's hormones. Like, I love trying to dial in my estrogen, my progesterone, my testosterone, all of the derivatives. How can I get the best sexual performance? How can I get the best physical performance? How can I get the best psychological performance? And what I have found through my own personal experimentation is that most doctors do not know what the fuck they are talking about. And so I suspect that you in the trans community are rapidly coming into contact with doctors who do not know what the fuck they're talking about. And there is a wide variety of sources in the world where you can get a hold of your own drugs, your own hormones, your own estrogen, aromatase inhibitors and things. And so who knows, maybe together we can find some even better cocktails to help you, those of you in the trans community achieve your goals faster than what is currently available to you through medical science and all of its infinite wisdom. So there you have it. This is just sort of an intro video to where I'm at, expressing who I am currently and who I am open to trying to be. So again, I know I'm gonna take a fucking beating in the comment section, but I want to be transparent and honest about the journey that I'm currently on, and just see what comes back. So I'm open to reading the comments and suggestions and abuse from people on both sides of the fence. And as a final note, let me say one more time to you Christians, this is the result of your actions. This is what fucking happens when you try to infringe upon people's rights. You push people away. You push us into the direction of going, you know what? Maybe what I thought was the best direction for this country is not the best direction after all. Maybe it's time for me to spend some time with those people who I thought were the enemy and find out where they're coming from, because clearly the people who I thought were my allies aren't. And so you should take a big, long look at what your legislation is doing. Your stance on birth control, your stance on abortion is going to cost you votes. And your stance on pornography is going to cost you votes. You are going to push more and more and more people away from your agenda because you seem to think that you have the monopoly on fucking morality, and you do not. And videos like this are the consequences of your actions. And now we're going to see just how far down this rabbit hole really goes. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.